Hello humans and welcome to FCA Friday. Today for FCA Friday we are going to go over how to get people into reading or how to get into reading yourself if you've never been into it. Now there's so many electronics, kids have all this technology even at young ages. They have iPads and tablets and all kinds of just stuff, in the video games and virtual reality machines have become a thing, and kids aren't spending as much time stretching their brains as they are sort of stretching their fingers. So if you want to change that, it's summertime, you want your kids to do stuff other than look at a screen all day, you can have them listen or look at some books. So we're going to go over how to get into reading and how to get your children into reading. So what you want to do when you're getting somebody into reading is make it about them. Make it about their interest and show them that it's not you trying to force something on them. For instance, trying to give them a book like this that looks thick and looks huge. This is by Les Roberts, one of my favorite authors. But you can't give them a book like this, somebody who's not into reading, and because this looks daunting, this is overwhelming, and this is going to push them away from reading. Even if they're slightly older, middle school or whatever, you need to start them off with something that doesn't look anything like a textbook. This is The Whipping Boy by Sid Fleshman. This is also in an audiobook. And this is just a straight story about a buddy film. It's, as you can see, it's thin. This doesn't look like it's going to take up somebody's life, which is important when you're trying to get somebody into reading. The same for these books that I have here. The Boys Start the War from Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. The cover got ripped off. Once Upon a Dark November from Carol Beach, York. John R. Erickson's Hank the Cowboy series, and this is by Willow Davis Roberts, The Hostage, or I guess it's just Hostage, my bad. But these books are thin. Because when you have a book like this versus a book that's literally 4 times its size, this looks too much. This is manageable, because if the person doesn't end up liking the book, they don't feel like they have just wasted so much time that they could have been doing something better. Like they would with a really thick book. And you want to try and get people's attention. The 2 best ways, in my opinion, to get somebody into book reading is to give them exciting stuff. Either go for a mystery route or go for an adventure route. And you can ask your child what kind of things they like. Do they want to see people going on adventures of magic and mystery? Do they want a whodunit? Do they want to try and guess who did it as they go? Or do they want something lighthearted that they can laugh about and kind of go, oh no. And that way it's capturing their interest. That's how you get interested in reading. Go for stuff you like. Don't feel like you have to read Atlas Shrugged or, the latest vampire novel or something to try and keep up with trends. Have it be something that captures your or your child's interest. And it doesn't have to be fiction. I just find that if you give somebody nonfiction books, especially when they're younger, they're going to kind of find that a little too textbooky, and especially during the summer, they're going to kind of pull away from that. Going with nonfiction gets their imaginations running. It'll give them viewpoints that they didn't have before. It will open their eyes up to gray areas. And you know how there's 2 sides to every story? Well, you're going to see all 4 sides to a story in a book that a movie just can't give. Like this one, Once Upon a Dark November. This is a nice beginner's book because there's no cuss words in it. There's a little tiny slender sliver of romance, but it's very, very light and it's just sort of touched on. And it's about a girl. This is very relatable. There's no talking animals, so if you have a teenager who's past the talking animal point and you're trying to get them into reading, giving them something like this, again, it's not overwhelming, but they're going to be interested to see how this girl turns out. She is, I think she's 15, 14 or 15, and she's helping out a neighbor, and it suddenly turns into she's suddenly involved with a murder scheme with the police, and you're like, how twisted is that? How real is it? Because like I said, there is no magic, there's not a lot of hidden sleuthing going on. It's just you see this omniscient perspective of a girl who was at the wrong place at the wrong time. For something a little bit more intense, go for The Hostage. It's slightly thicker, but again, there's no talking animals, there's no witches or anything like that. It's just an unfortunate girl gets herself, and you can find ones about boys, these were just two that I grabbed. They're just unfortunate kids who just were in the wrong place at the wrong time in a mystery adventure that's like a thriller with a little bit of fear, but that's not going to take too long to read. For kids even younger, you would want to go with something like one of these. So The Boys Start the War by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. This series, there's 12 books in the series, is phenomenal for beginner readers of any age if you've never been into it, because it's a nice, simple story. Again, there's not a lot of magic. It's just a lot of, wow, whoa, okay. Where these two families, a set of boys and a set of girls, they battle each other in wits, where they play pranks and hijinks on each other, and they get caught sometimes, and it's really great to see them not getting caught for certain things. What are they going to do? And you see both sides, because you get the perspective of the middle child from the boys' side, and you get the perspective of the youngest precocious child of the girls' side. And you go back and forth, so you get to see the in-depths of each part. You get to see how plans unfold. And it's great to see in the series, this war starts, just a hijinks war, and it's absolutely phenomenal to see how, and each book takes place during a different time of the month. So the very first one starts, I believe, in September, and then it goes to the following August, and it's just great to see how all these things tie into the seasons, and how just, wow, she's running off with somebody's underwear. Does she even know whose underwear those are? I can't believe they locked her in a shed. Is she really foaming at the mouth? They're blackmailing her now. Oh, he has to be on stage and say that. Oh, and it's just a whole bunch of that. Very, very fun, especially for kids. The other one is something like this. This is an adventure book that's loaded with humor. This is Murder in the Middle Pasture, one of the funniest in this particular. It's not really a series. Like if you read this one versus another one, it's not going to make a big difference. But they are just a set of books. And it's absolutely hilarious to watch this cow dog. It's from his perspective, and he's kind of dumb, but thinks he's smarter than he is, and he just gets himself into all these situations. He tries to find a chicken murderer on his ranch, and he ends up kidnapped by coyotes, or coyotes, I don't care how you pronounce it. And the whole time, he does stuff to put himself in bad situations, and to see him try to get out or not get out is very, very funny, and this is a little bit more imaginative for younger kids. I think that teenagers would find this kind of bluff, but it is very funny for children, and if you want them to get into reading, something like this would be great. Or if you like the talking animal route, you can go with the Bunnicula series, where the thickest book is this one, and the thinnest book is this one, The Celery Stalks at Midnight. There might be a vampire rabbit, or it might be the cat's imagination, and this cat forces the two dogs to chase after a vampire rabbit, try to stop him, and they try to save the town that they think is being taken over by vampire vegetables, and they get stuck in a murderous kidnapping scheme at a doggy and kitty hotel. It's an adventure. There's a little bit of humor. It is a little bit, I think that even teenagers, like middle schoolers, would still be entertained by a book like this, because again, it's not overwhelming, it's not too adult responsibility, but it's not so there's not a lot of magic outside of talking animals with this particular one. And with this one, It's just, you're getting a personified animal's perspective, and it's really funny. Audiobooks, you cannot go wrong with audiobooks. You can get any of those books on audiobooks, and you're listening to a CD. That way the kid can do other things. They can play on their game while hearing a story, and it's still allowing them to imagine the colors and the tones themselves, and it's still allowing them to get all those perspectives that a book can give, that only a book can give, while being able to do other things with their life. That way they don't feel, because having an actual book in your hand can make a person who's not into reading feel trapped. The audiobook lets that go, and you can get a lot of them from your local library, or you can get them from audible.com. I'm not sponsored, just so you know. And if you're an adult trying to get into reading and all of these books are a little bit too childish, you're not sure how you can connect to them, then go with easy reads. For instance, the Shopaholic series, this has been a raved about thing, and this is so much better than the movie. Everybody says that, but there's so much more, and this is the characters are put together so much better in the book. And it's an easy read. It's something you could get through while you're in the tub. It's not so gripping that you can't put it down, but it is interesting enough that you're going to want to finish it. And the whole series is following this woman who pretty much just fails at her attempts to be savvy with money. And it's great to see when she comes up to her highest points and seeing her drop and climb out. And it's interesting to watch. If you want something that's more mysterious, you can go with one of these books, the Joanna Fluke. This is the Strawberry Shortcake Murder, but these have recipes in them, actual recipes, which is fantastic. Let's see if we can find one real quick. Anytime a food is mentioned, here it is. This one's called Oatmeal Raisin Crisps. Anytime a recipe is mentioned in the chapter, at the end of it, there's going to be a recipe for it. And this follows a baker who accidentally finds bodies and becomes an amateur sleuth, and she gets in trouble with the police and with her mother, and it balances her trying to have a love life with a police officer and with a dentist at some points. The Scent of Murder. This one, if you have been into reading but you're sort of on the edge, go for something super intense. Scent of Murder is a you're not going to want to put it down kind of book. If you want to go for something classic, if you're trying to using reading to up your skill levels, or you need a more in-depth kind of detective book, go with the Orient Express. Go with something with Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes. Those kind of books will get you into things. So that is how you get people into reading when they're not already into, and what they can lead up to with a thicker, more intense book. Or if you're just looking for something new to read, I hope this gave you some options. And I hope that your summer is happy. I will see you for the next Makeup Monday and for the next FCA Friday. Bye! Join me on my ventures, humans.